The next day, the new line of robots, the same line that Sunny is part of, hits the streets. Literally.
Trade in your NS4 for a bigger, better, and brighter future. But hurry, this offer cannot last. Available from USR.
That monster, hugging a child.
Won't somebody please think of the children?
And now for the second time he feels like dropping it, until someone says something utterly unrelated.
I could follow your trail of crumbs all the way to school.
Breadcrumbs.
No, seriously, that's a plot point in this movie. Spooner, now thinking that there's some conspiracy led by Browning that led to Lanning's death and the things happening around him, contacts Vicky to give him access to all the phone records between Lanning and Browning while driving on an automated road. As soon as Vicky warns Browning of this, 2 USR trucks pull up around Spooner. Wait, that was really fast? Were they already tailing him? Anyway, the robots in the truck proceed to all blatantly defy the first law of robotics and viciously attack Spooner. It is only because he had previously taken a level in Badass that he was able to narrowly escape. His converse, however, were not so lucky.
Just get some rest. I'm gonna deal with y'all tomorrow.
No, not the All-Stars! Take me instead, God! Take me instead! Also in this scene, we learn something shocking. Spooner has a robotic arm. Is this some sort of Blade Runner-esque revelation where we find out that Spooner is actually a robot programmed to hate robots? You are obviously giving this movie far too much credit. This just means they have now added bionics to the robots universe. I would make another Ghost in the Shell joke, but I can't think of one. So pretend I just made some sort of witty reference to Bato. Well, it's time for cop cliché number 7, as the chief takes away the rebellious detective's badge just as he's getting close to the big conspiracy.
Give me a badge. You're making me do this. Give me a badge.
He goes home to patch up his arm with spray-on skin, apparently, and Susan comes over. While there, Susan discovers his secret, and he tells her, and the audience, what happened to his arm and why he hates robots.
Driver of a semi fell asleep at the wheel. The car he hit, the driver's name was Harold Lloyd. Like the film star, of no relation. He was killed instantly. But his 12-year-old was in the passenger seat. Sarah. This was hers. She wanted to be a dentist. The truck smashed our cars together and pushed us into the river. I mean, metal gets pretty pliable at those speeds. She's pinned, I'm pinned, the water's coming in. I'm a cop, so I already know everybody's dead. Just a few more minutes before we figure it out. And as Ford was passing by, saw the accident and jumped in the water.
You are in danger. You are in danger.
Save her! Save the girl! Save her! But it didn't save me.
The robot's brain is a difference engine. It was reading vital signs. It must have calculated that...
It did. I was the logical choice. Calculated that I had a 45% chance of survival. Sarah only had an 11% chance. That was somebody's baby. 11% is more than enough.
Okay, this is the point in which this movie totally lost me the first time I watched it. Why? Because his reasoning for hating all robots is survivor's guilt. I can understand him feeling that 11% is enough for a loved one. But by the same token, isn't 40% enough? What he is saying is that emotionally speaking, he is less valuable than the little girl. That is survivor's guilt, something that the psychiatrist he's talking to doesn't point out. Furthermore, 1. The first law of robotics is, a robot may not injure a human being or by inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Ignoring completely the second law and the fact that Spooner instructed the robot to save the girl, after that robot pulled Spooner to safety, it would have had to go back and try and save the girl, even if that led to its own destruction, because self-preservation is the third law. 2. How does Spooner know those odds? The only being that could possibly know those odds are the robot that calculated them. And, ignoring my first point, I still find it hard to believe that Spooner would have had a conversation with this heartless machine about the particulars of the accident. 3. He had a 40% chance of survival, and he only did so thanks to the bionic implants that were afforded to him because he was a cop. So the little girl wouldn't have even gotten those. So I find it completely beyond the realm of possibility that that little girl would have survived anyway. 4. Where the hell did he get her necklace? And 5. How the hell did that crash work? He describes it as a truck ran into that one car, killing the driver immediately and slamming him into his own car, fusing the two together as they flew into the water. However, when we see the flashback to the crash, the other car is lower down in the water as she is completely submerged while he is not. How did that work? The only way I can imagine that happened was somehow they magically flew out laterally so far that they hit the water flat, and somehow the other car was that much more dense than his that it sunk faster despite the great lateral speed it had. I think I've spent enough time on this, so let's just completely forget about it. Like they do. No, seriously, the next scene they're just walking out talking about Hansel and Gretel. They make no further mention to this development of his character.
A trail of breadcrumbs, like Hansel and Gretel.
Breadcrumbs equals clues. It's odd, but fine.
But since his car is totaled, and he's smart enough not to get on the grid anymore, he gets in his classic, for the future, motorcycle. They go and talk to Sonny, which leads Spooner to a robot storage center in what I think is supposed to be the dried out bed of Lake Michigan, and Susan gets convinced by Browning to go ahead and actually destroy Sonny. So, at the former site of a great lake apparently... No, I'm not letting that go. As someone from Michigan, I am well aware of how much water there are in the Great Lakes, particularly Michigan Huron, and I refuse to believe that it's dried out by 2035. Okay, that out of my system. He finds a placard and re-engages his landing hologram, which tells him,
3 laws will lead to only one logical outcome.
What outcome?
Revolution.
Come again? I know this video is getting long, but I have to go over this one more time. The 3 laws of robotics are: 1. A robot may not injure a human being, or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. 2. A robot must obey any order given by a human being, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. 3. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. Which part of that will inevitably lead to a revolution?
That, detective, is the right question.
Oh, and after all those breadcrumbs, Lanning doesn't tell him anything. Luckily, I guess. Spooner happened to get to the site just at the right time to see what Lanning wanted him to. The new robots destroying all the old ones to prevent them from protecting the humans. The revolution begins, and we are shown how serious this is by having the robots attack our favorite person, Shia LaBeouf.
No, robot, can talk to me, man. Stop this.
That's right, his appearance at the beginning wasn't just a pointless and annoying cameo, it was actually a setup for him to come back and be important at the end.
Oh, damn, she just shot at you with her eyes closed, Spoon.
Hey! Did you just shoot at me with your eyes closed?
Well, it worked, didn't it?
Spoon, she is shit hot, man. You gotta put her to work for me. She is...
Stop cussing.
And go home, I got you.
Or he shows up for another one scene at the end and contributes a grand total of nothing to the plot. So, still thinking that Browning is behind everything, Spooner and Calvin head off to USR, where they are joined by Sonny, which Calvin did not kill because...
Couldn't destroy him. He's too...
Unique.
When they get to Browning's office and find him dead, Spooner realizes where he screwed up and figures out that the actual villain of the story is Vicky. She proceeds to explain her actions.
The 3 laws are all that guide me. To protect humanity, some humans must be sacrificed. To ensure your future, some freedoms must be surrendered.
This is a bastardization of Asimov's zeroth law of robotics. A robot may not injure humanity, or by inaction allow humanity to come into harm. The difference here being, Vicky is just insane, willing to blatantly defy the other 3 laws to protect humanity. While in the stories, the zeroth law developed naturally through robot evolution, R. Daniel Oliva, the robot who invented the law, literally spent hundreds of millennia trying to come to terms with what would be considered harm to humanity or not. And that inevitably even led to him helping the development of psychohistory. There's really nothing more to say about the movie after this. What follows is simply a large action piece, as our 3 heroes attempt to and inevitably succeed at killing Vicky. There's 2 things I will note. Susan is now suddenly a crack shot, wielding the gun perfectly, despite what we saw earlier. And after all is said and done, and learning that Sonny aided Lanning in his suicide, Spooner is willing to come to terms with the robot and leaves him with a smile and a handshake. So, save his life means a robot's evil. Commit murder means robot's a saint. I hate this movie. It is the longest Converse commercial I've ever seen, seconded only by this video. So, one more time, let's go check in with Jay Sherman to hear his thoughts.
Welcome to Coming Attractions. I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and this is Little Knothead.
This is so demeaning. I have a PhD in film.
That was off topic. Anyway, that ends my 2-part retrospective on Will Smith's sci-fi film adaptations suck. I hope we all learned something today.
Hello, children! In a future time, children will work together to build a giant cyborg. Robot parade, robot parade. Wave the flag that the robot made. Robot parade, robot parade. Robots obey what the children say.
Now, should I make one more Converse joke at the end of the video or not?
I'm sorry. My responses are limited. You must ask the right question.
Why are you so useless?
That, detective, is the right question.
Well done. Here come the test results. You are a horrible person.